gentlemen, it is February 11th, 2019, and this is FAWMtalk! I'm, of course, Johan. With me, as always, here's that guy you all know, Mr. T.C. Elliott. How you doing, man?
I am doing very well, considering I worked over 10 hours today, ran home, took a shower so I wouldn't smell bad in my own clothes, to be here to talk music with you.
Why did you work so long?
That's what I'm scheduled. Yeah.
All right.
So every other week, I've got a rotating schedule. It's 8 hours for 5 days one week and 4 days at 10 hours the next week.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's a long story that's very not interesting, but let's just say that every other Friday is a good Friday. Yeah.
One day we'll get to hear the legend of how this, like the backstory, the origin story of T.C. Elliott. Anyway, let's go to some music. Yeah. Get some songs here. This one's called Backwards Living. It's a track by... Hold on.
John Crossman.
Thank you. Backwards Living.
Here I am, there I go, where I've been, I don't know, I'll probably catch me, if I can, on the next train. And here you are, once again, you seem to know where you've been and how to find you. What'd you go through from now to then? Backwards living, alone all summer, spring, winter, fall. First I'm leaving before I know why I left. I should go. Some am I, some are you, which is why we muddle through. When did I know who was who? When did you? And holes are parting, more is less. The end has started. It's an immaculate mess. Lost is unfound. Up is one side, down, then there's the rest. Backwards living, alone all summer, spring, winter, fall. First we're leaving before we know why we left. We should go. And here we are, where we're sent, where we've been, there we went.
Backwards Living by John Crossman.
Yeah.
Is it just because I'm tired, or are all my notes just scattered around? I don't know.
Probably a little of both.
Yeah, it's not a good combination.
We're used to it from you. It's okay. Sweet. I really like John Crossman's, or JX as we like to call him in the Slack chat. I like his harmony vocals. It seems like just about every song he has a natural way of putting a second vocal on that is complementary, sounds great. It's not always in perfect timing, and you never notice because it sounds so good. He's got a good knack at that. So
Yeah, Pearl said on the chat reminds you of Simon and Garfunkel, and it has that sound, a little bit of that. Well,
yeah,
I mean it's 2 a.m. here. Let's not be too discreet about that. I'm kind of a little bit like on the downslope, but the music is definitely helping on something.
good. Doesn't do well if the producer falls asleep.
Well, I got nothing. I was looking at some forum threads on FAWM.com, and there was a challenge there that I actually posted once on 5090, I think. And it's called the Not a Cover Challenge, where you take a well-known song title and then just write your own song to that title. Not like a cover, but like just use a very, very well-known song title, like let's say All Along the Watchtower or Freebird, something like that. So I once posted that on 5090, and now we got the same challenge here again. It's a very interesting challenge because maybe I don't know if are there people who think that song titles are like copyrighted or something, trademarked? Are they? Can they be?
Song titles cannot be, at least not in the States.
Yeah, right.
So, and supposedly chord progressions cannot either. Although there's been a couple of copyright infringement cases recently where it was basically chord progressions, and so that can be a little bit of a touchy area as well.
Yeah. But if you write a song like Purple Haze, people are going to expect something, and then it's like a disappointment almost to hear the song.
Yeah. There was actually, I can't remember who it was, but there's an artist that puts out 50 albums a year, often with popular top 40 song titles, and then they'll do something different with it, and they get plays and money on Spotify and purchases on iTunes, and it's like, it's not only is it a way for them to, like, they more than make their money back putting all these albums out, but he put together a how-to, like, you can make money at music too, and
that is so
you know,
sleazy.
he writes real songs, but some of them are, I mean, I listened through to some of them, and it would be literally taking the first page off of FAWM and having that, it's everything from the iPhone recording all the way to something that's a little bit more produced, and that's basically what he had out there.
Oh man, that is so like,
yeah.
that's how you make money. That's really inventive. I mean, I kind of love that.
I guess. And then also, I can't remember when it was, but Randy Christopher, RC, who is no longer with us for several years now, but he actually did an album. It was a Beatles album, and I can't remember which one. I was just looking for it and didn't see it in my collection. But he did an entire album, Beatles album, the album name and all the songs, wrote completely new songs and put it together. And just had it posted up for people to grab if they wanted to. And that was pretty cool, pretty neat to see how you could take those titles and do something else with it, you know, and he did his own style. He wasn't trying to copy the Beatles or do something out of his wheelhouse, but that was interesting.
Yeah.
That he had done an entire album that way. It might have been a 5090 project. I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, speaking of song titles, how do you How do you pick titles for your songs?
Lots of ways, I guess. So,
There's some people like I heard Andy McKee talking about this in an interview, and he was back when I was more into playing guitar, he was an interesting player for me to follow because his style was so unique. He did a lot of the percussive stuff and a lot of like two-hand playing on the fretboard and all that sort of stuff with acoustic guitars, weird tunings, weird capos, and all that.
Huh.
So he said that he writes a lot of songs, but the most difficult part of the process is selecting a title, because he's got like tons of songs ready, but he doesn't know what to call them.
yeah, but that would be more. Is it like instrumental music or? Maybe.
Yeah.
So for that, that to me would be pretty difficult. I guess it kind of depends. So, like, if I'm sitting down to write a song, sometimes it's to a prompt or a title or a theme.
Yeah.
So then, in some cases, like, for instance, I participate in Song Fight fairly regularly. And the whole challenge is, here's the title. Your song has to have this title. Well, that makes it pretty easy to have a title because they've just supplied it for you. I do the almost daily writing prompt on Facebook and Twitter, which several FAWMers actually follow that. Cheryl does, Right and Wrong. She's somebody that actually keeps me doing it because she'll respond a lot. And I know there's people who use it that never comment. They just go to it as a resource. But that's one of those things where I'm putting them out there every week and you just don't hear a whole lot. Actually, Nature, Natger, he's another one that actually writes songs and posts them to some of those. That's pretty cool. But what that's given me is, I don't know, 4 years worth of song prompts or titles that I can go through. So one of the songs for FAWM, I was sitting there and had chord progression, and I just looked at January prompts and took 3 or 4 of them ended up being a song as part of the lyric. If I write a song, sometimes it's chorus verse with an idea of what that chorus hook is. Sometimes I've written a verse and I get to the chorus, I've got the music, and I'm trying to come up with this line that has the title in it. I typically try to do that. I don't always do that. I like having songs where the title isn't necessarily in the chorus or even in the lyrics sometimes, but it's like I enjoy doing that sometimes. But a lot of times, whatever that chorus hook is, it'll be either that'll be it, or it'll be something similar to that, or something that encapsulates that.
Well, that's
but when it comes to
like pick it, if you have a song title ready, it's the obvious way to utilize it. It's just repeat it 4 times in the chorus.
I can't stand that.
Why?
Sometimes it works.
Yeah.
Well, it can. Like, there are songs where that it's repeated 3 or 4 times and it works, but I don't. Not me.
It's so cheap.
But I mean, sometimes it like we were talking about Gilbert's guitar playing with Miniman, and I was watching what was the album where they dressed up in the spacesuits, the NASA suits,
Spaceship One.
So Spaceship. So I watched this video over the course of a couple of days where they did all the songs off of Spaceship One, just the 3 of them, and it's a trio. And one of the choruses to that, like, I love the song, and then the choruses repeated the title repeated 4 times, and I was like, you took a decent song, not great, but a decent song, great guitar playing, great drumming, and then you just sang it the same thing 4 times. I felt cheated. I felt like I really want to like this, but I couldn't because it was just a cheap way out. I mean, like, it just used it twice and then something else in between, or shut up every other time. Anything would have been better than that. But then there's times where there'll be a song on FAWM or somewhere else, and they'll do that. They'll repeat it, and it works great. So I don't know what it is.
I don't know. I really like it. I like repetition. I'm a simple guy.
Well, I like repetition. I'm not saying I don't like repetition. I'm not saying it can't work, but like, there's got to be, like, so theme and variation is cool. So that variation also has repetition in it, but it's not the exact same thing repeated over and over and over again. And sometimes that works great. There's pop songs where they're just hammering it home, but it's used more than just like I think they're using it for an effect instead of just repeating that line 4 times. Now sometimes it works. I'm not saying it doesn't, and there's songs I like that I've heard with that, but that to me is a little. My go-to response is to a little bit of cringe.
No, it's
the same thing over there.
It's cheap and effective, like the bargain bin fertilizer. It's just gotta have faith in the product.
Yeah, I was going to say on the instrumentals, that can be very difficult. So if you've come up with some sort of instrument, a solo guitar or a fully produced track, and there's not a lyric in there, then for me, I try to, if it's mine, I try to evoke a feeling, like how does this make me feel, or what does this make me think of? I kind of let it set, and then I try to have some creative way of describing that feeling or what it makes me think of. So, if it's like I've heard guitar tracks, and there was one on FAWM years ago. I don't even remember most of it, but it was awesome. It started off and it built and it built and it built, and to me it was like a volcano where it just came to this culmination to where it just exploded into awesome guitars and everything, and then subsided. And the dynamic came up. Like for me, it should have been like Lava Flow would have been awesome, or something like that would have been a great name. And I don't remember even who did the song or anything. But most of the time, you don't even get that. It is kind of struggle. It is hard to have a name for an instrumental that you're going to remember that it's its identity. I definitely think that's difficult, which is maybe that's one of the reasons I don't do as many instrumentals as I used to. Because
I on the other hand, do a lot of instrumentals because it's such a pain in the ass to start writing lyrics and you have to sing them. I'm just a lazy guy, just regular old lazy guy. So I do a lot of instrumentals, and the way you describe the process is exactly what I was thinking. And I have a couple of instrumentals that I did this year, and that's exactly what I did. I put the song on play and just started to just let it sit, just listen. What kind of emotion does it evoke in me? If I close my eyes, do I get some sort of pictures? Like, am I flying through the clouds? Then the song's gonna be called Atmosphere. I don't know if it's a clever name, but I mean, it kind of matches the song at least.
Yeah, and it gives you something for the name to attach to. So, like, I can think of I think it was 5090, and I had a couple of just solo guitar pieces that I did, and then it was time to name it. It was like, what am I going to call this? And I can remember one of those pieces. I could probably pick the guitar and play right now, or at least most of it. Haven't listened to it in years, and I had no idea what title I put on it for 5090. But I remember the piece, but not the title. So in that instance, I failed completely in having a descriptive name to attach to it. And
if you don't have something descriptive, then you have to go with something crazy. It's something that people will remember. I mean, you gotta take risks, right? Just call your song Tic Tacs, or I don't know, 100% fat chicken breast. Just right. Just like something insane. If you can pull that name off, then people will remember it regardless.
Yeah.
This is the Tic Tac song.
Just the Tic Tac song. I mean, that's actually a good way of doing it, because if you can get something that's unique or crazy or quirky, that's cool. I did. I think we mentioned it a couple of shows ago, but I did some chiptune or 8-bit songs for Last 5090, and I put them together on a digital download. And the album's called Liquefaction, and they're all instrumental. And so getting those titles was interesting. because it's all instrumental, because it's all 8-bit sounds. Like, what do you call that? And I actually took my rhyming dictionary and a thesaurus, and I was paging through to see things that caught my eye and caught my attention.
Yeah, I've been there
to get an idea. Yeah, and it's like none of like so, and some of them actually like one of them's called Banasic Passage, which is kind of an apt description of the song, and it's kind of a stately, as far as an 8-bit chiptune style song can be, but it does kind of have that plotting, entrance into the royal ball type of feel in my mind. So, so anyway, I don't know. If you're trying to do top 40 or sell songs or be that type of a songwriter, then titles are very important. It's got to be the hook. So,
but the thesaurus type of the thesaurus method is kind of like fishing bottles out of garbage cans. I mean, do you have like a bottle recycling in the United States?
It depends. Yes. Maybe not what you intend, but yes. Actually, what I do for a living is supervise a material recovery facility. So we actually take the recycling collected for the community, sort it into bales, and sell it. So
yeah.
So
so in Finland we have the system where every grocery store in the country, I don't know if they have to have this by law, but like every grocery store in the country, no matter if it's like the smallest, tiniest little grocery store, they have a machine where you return bottles and cans and all that sort of stuff, and you get like some sort of, I don't know what this is called because I never have to use it before, but it's like a pledge or a pawn or some sort of deposit that you pay when you buy the bottle, and when you put it in the recycling, you get it back. So that it's like a huge part of Finnish drinking culture, just getting the bottles and just putting them in the machine. And so a lot of like really poor people, they bike around the city and go through all garbage cans and get those bottles out. But I don't know if you have like a similar system there.
So like Iowa, I think. So some states have we call it a bottle deposit. So they have 5 cents or 10 cents. I think somewhere is 15, but it's 5 or 10 cents per bottle, and you pay that. So when you go and buy, let's say you buy a 12-pack of beer, there's going to be a 60 cents surcharge that the grocery store charges you, keeps, and then when somebody brings them back the bottles, they give them their 60 cents back. So it's spotty. It's not nationwide. And actually, the town I live in had it just for the town. It was we have University of Missouri of Columbia here, and they had a class project, and it turned out into the city, and then they ended up voting it out.
Oh, all right.
So
here we have.
Now we're
it's even more here in Finland because you get that deposit for like plastic bottles, aluminum cans, glass bottles, like everything, and the big like plastic bottles, they're 40 cents is the deposit in those. So it's like it's a lot of money if you have like garbage bags full of bottles. So I don't know why we're talking about this.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. We were talking about titles, and using the thesaurus was like fishing the one kernel of nugget out of the trash, and I think it's a very apt metaphor. It's
but
and do you use the thesaurus at all? I guess you struggle with lyric, or your self-professed lyricist that struggles, but do you use the thesaurus at all when writing a lyric? Is that a tool you use at all?
I use the powerthesaurus.com, which is there's thesaurus.com, but the power thesaurus is a lot better. I found it's super
more suited for metal.
No. It's it just has more words. It gives you
Oh.
a ton of like alternatives.
Results.
Yeah. It's very good.
Yeah. What about a rhyming dictionary? Do you do that? You
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
rhyme as much as I do. Some.
Yeah, at least now I use it, but like my vocabulary is so
Yeah.
I kind of need all the help I can get.
Yeah. Mine too. Yeah.
So, but I hopefully, like, even if I compare myself to last year, like or a year ago, my vocabulary has grown substantially. So I'm happy with that. So it just keeps getting
Good.
better.
The more you use it, I guess.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Of course, I try to learn like some sort of obscure words, but if you don't use those words, they're gone.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to say about titles and lyrics and all that stuff in general, and band names, is that I kind of hate safety. If you do something that is like sounds cool, but there's nothing special about it, then you're playing it safe. If you have a band that's called Soldiers of Darkness, it's not gonna grab anyone. It's just you're playing it safe. It sounds alright. There's like nothing wrong about it, but it's not special. So what I tend to do with my stuff, what I push myself to, is that I try to take risks. So I do something that has the potential of sounding really stupid, but if you can pull it off, it's the coolest thing everyone ever heard. So I take risks. That's my advice. Take risks and try to pull it off.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard. Band names are hard.
But there are like a lot of cool band names in the fake band name
Yeah.
thread.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of like really memorable ones. You could just
Yeah.
pick those and run with it.
Yeah. Well, the pre-FAWM, when you did, I don't even know, was it a thread when people were coming up with metal band name logos, and you had one and refused to tell us what it was, and I spent like 2 hours. I actually put it in Photoscape and changed the dimension so it squashed it or widened it so I could try to figure out what your limbs were trying to say, and it was it dangle shits? Was that what it was?
No. Okay, here we go.
I think that's what it was.
Oh my lord. This is too large, but hold on a second. I'm just gonna. It was something like this. So if you're watching the stream, you can see the my effort at a metal band logo. But yeah, I don't remember what that was. It was like Diabolo
Ghosts.
No.
And it's Diablo something.
Genesis. Yeah.
They can only Genesis. That's right. You can only see part of that.
Yeah, kind of. But
You're
a lot of
getting there.
metal
Yeah,
band
there you
logos
go.
are like that.
Yeah, but that's awful. I even reversed the black and white, whatever the negative on it, to try to see it better, and
Yeah,
I did figure it out. I think you gave me a hint or two, but
maybe, yeah. But yeah, those are just awful. But I had fun making it, so that's all that matters.
yeah.
Okay, let's.
I was just gonna say that Pearl's talking in the chat, but I think we've got tentative plans to make a punk rock band called Dangle Shits because that's what we thought your logo said. So that very well may end up being a FAWM song or two.
Well, we have to do it now, so there's no.
Right. Are you in?
Of course, I mean, there's no way around it. So
Awesome.
just gonna have to do it.
Sweet.
In the meanwhile, let's get some new songs. This one was a song in the Fake It Challenge. Is it called Fake It Challenge?
Yep.
So it's
Maybe.
Perhaps, yeah. But this song is quite simply just called "Fake It" by Spirulens. So, fake it.
The radiant glow of the setting sun brings to mind all we have done, recalls the ever-changing years, and now my eyes fill up with tears. I can't fake it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Now that you're gone, it's hard to move on. I can't fake it anymore. The ebbing tides of the ocean shore, they bring a sadness to my soul. Robbed my mind of our old days, and leaves me roiling like the waves. I can't fake it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Now that you're gone, it's hard to move on. I can't fake it anymore. Since you've gone, I know that I can't stay. Since you've gone, I've got to find a way. Since you've gone, how can I break from this old dance? Since you've gone, I need to find a new romance. Damn, I can't fake it anymore. I can't take it anymore. Now that you're gone, it's hard to move on. I can't fake it anymore.
Fake It by Spirulens. Is that how you pronounce the name?
I think it's Spirulence, but yeah, one of those. No,
Spire.
there's no wrong answer.
Spirals. Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know. Never mind. Yes, that's how you pronounce it.
All right. Quite an interesting track, yeah.
Yeah. So if some of the listeners don't know, but the Fake It Challenge, Middlefoot Alex put a lyric with chord changes above the lines up in the forum, and invited anybody who wanted to create a melody and then sing it, perform it, and use it as a song. So it's been pretty interesting listening to I don't know, I think there's 11 or 12, 8 or 10 entries so far of people who have done that challenge, to see what the similarities are, which obviously the lyric is just about identical for everybody. The chord, the key, the chords are just about the same. I think a couple of people took a little liberty with it here and there, but how different the songs are and how similar they are. And like Pearl in the chat was remarking how similar the melodies are, especially in the verse. I think they're fairly similar, but the styles are completely different. I don't think you would confuse very many of those songs if you took somebody and had them play two different versions. I think you would have two different songs. So it's been pretty interesting. I do think the chorus has been very unique on each one, even though it's the same chords and same lyrics. So it's a pretty cool challenge. We used to do a challenge similar to that, and I can't for the life of me remember what Nancy called it. Nancy Rost did it like every other year. One of them was a Black Month Win. The lyric was usually a little less, so a little more poetic or creative, a little off the beaten path, and the chords weren't always obvious choices either, which makes for some very interesting results at times. So it reminds me of that challenge. Very similar.
Yeah. And an interesting track, anyways. It kind of reminds me of a band called Dead Astronauts, and maybe something like Pet Shop Boys a little bit. Very sort of rhythmic in a weird way. It's not. I don't hear songs like that on Spotify or anything. I don't hear songs like that a lot. It's almost like just marching onwards the beat. It's weird. Right. It's weird tempo.
Yeah.
But it's definitely cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get what you're saying. It does have that. Yeah, it's definitely cool. But I hear that where it has that, but it's still it's not really off time. It just has that kind of feel to it. Mm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we were talking about naming songs, song titles, and that jazz. I've actually done a couple of times some albums and other projects where I come up with the names of the songs first and then just write the song that match the title, and that's kind of like having a prompt for the song. But like last year,
yeah, it is.
Yeah, I was doing the synthwave album, and the first idea I had is to just come up with cool names for the tracks. You're kind of expected to do something that has that 80s pop culture vibe to it. So there were a lot of things referencing like Terminator and 80s video games and all that stuff. And when you have a title, then it's easier to just start writing over it.
Yeah,
but it's kind of similar to like we were discussing about how I wrote the that orchestral piece, the Satellite.
Satellite, yeah.
Yeah. So I come up with stuff first that has pretty much has nothing to do with the actual song, and then write the song to match those things, like external parameters and giving yourself limitations. I think that works well for me.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of limitations, and this actually came up in FAWM years and years ago, a discussion of it, and we've already talked about the Villa Hoopshank or the Villa Shank song challenge generator that kind of came out of that discussion, I believe. But limitations make you, I think, more creative and have a tendency for me to inspire me or have something cool that I wouldn't have been able to without that limitation, whatever it is. So I think that's a big part of it. I definitely think that, so reading some songwriting books from like Nashville songwriters or country songwriters or popular songwriters, one of the things they say is have a hook book, which is, if you're always have it with you now with the phone, it's real easy to do. You can do a voice memo or you can, just write it into a note real quick. But if you're sitting there eating a burger and you overhear a conversation, somebody says something, write it down. And so what they have is a title or a prompt or a theme or something, but a lot of times it's a title. It's a weird a phrase or something, and then that ends up going into a songwriting session and turning into a song. And I don't see that's any different than having the titles first. It's the same thing. It's a prompt and writing to it. And I do that sometimes. I do that a lot at Songfight. And I that might be here in FAWM this year. I've been kind of struggling a little bit with starting songs and not finishing them, but I think not having that lyric idea of where you're going and having music, I think sometimes when you're coming up with that, if you have that phrase or that title or something in you, that really gives you a place to start or maybe end up, sometimes like a title like Break the Silence. If you have Break the Silence, okay, when I get to the chorus, that's what's going to be about. That gives me, okay, I'm going to go on a tangent for the verse. How can I set that up? And I won't necessarily write the chorus first. Sometimes I do. And then it'll lead me, okay, now Break the Silence means something else. It's not just, you can think of it's a song about having a fight with your significant other, or it's a song about, keeping people from testifying in court about a big social issue, or it could be, there's a lot of ways you can write it, of going into with that same title or that same phrase.
And I was looking at my notes, like, we talked a little bit about this in an earlier episode, but I think what I really wanted to do is, I like this sort of challenges where you just pick a limitation and try to force yourself to make it good. But what I failed to kind of explain in that episode is how I really want to pick something that I think will be bad, and then just try to imagine it being like, how can I make this good? And we were talking about this in Slack chat earlier today. Who was it with? We were talking about hip hop and rap music and all that sort of stuff. And we're talking about how I don't get hip hop or rap music, and I don't really get into those because they are so vocals or lyrics heavy. So pretty much the whole point of rap music is in the lyrics, and I don't really hear lyrics when I listen to music. So to me, rap music is like somebody having guitar and playing the open B string in a weird rhythmic pattern for 3 minutes. It's kind of, I find it boring, but it's, of course, I understand why some people like it. But so this person was saying that I should do hip hop music, and maybe that way we could find out how it could be good for me, or what kind of angle I would find to that genre to make it interesting to me, and that could spawn some sort of interesting new subgenre maybe, or I don't know, but it's an interesting idea, at least, like some sort of experiment. And in game development circles, there's this guy, this pretty well-known game developer game designer called Rami Ismail, and he did a game jam. Game jams are very much like FAWM, where you have like a weekend or a week to make a game, and people gather together and start to build a game in a very short time. And those are typically really great, and you get really inventive ideas. But he specifically made this game jam where the name of the game jam was well, it was like F this game. And the idea was that you pick a game genre that you hate, and you make a game in that genre. And there were some really weird games that were kind of awesome, like a first-person shooter where the whole point is that you need to use like 10 different keys to reload the gun. So you're like rolling the barrel and or the bullets, putting the bullets in the thing. What is that called? The clip?
In the chamber, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So the whole idea becomes like really intensive gameplay-wise, where you run out of bullets, the other guys are running around you, you're just like trying to load the gun, like, oh my lordy, trying to figure out what keys to use to put the bullets in the gun. So in that sense, that makes like a really interesting game, and I think it could make some really interesting songs if you just pick something that you think you're going to hate, and then start to think about like, okay, how could this actually be something that I would enjoy listening?
Yeah. No, I think there's value in that, definitely. And I think we can all learn from all genres. But like you said, I mean, there are songs, there are typically genre I don't listen to or I don't get as much enjoyment from. But, you know, with rap and hip hop and, you know, the rhythm and some of the stylings on how the rhythm of the beat can be cool. There's a lot of different beats. And then the rhythm on how the performer is actually playing on and off of the beat, how they kind of speed up and slow down and work with that. Yeah. Some of that's pretty cool that I could never do. And like being able to play with that timing a little bit, and it doesn't, if you just listen to it, it sounds like they nailed it. It's like part of the performance. And, yeah. You know, to me, that almost goes back to a classical pianist where they can kind of do the same thing. And it's really weird how I made that connection, make that comparison. And I think you know, that style probably isn't my favorite, although there are some songs and some artists that I appreciate, but that I don't listen to a lot. Both of my daughters are big into country and then urban music, and I get a lot of those two things combined. It's just weird to hear one song right after the other in their mixes, and it works. That's what they like. That's what they want to listen to. And to hear them just, you know, it's not the same song or a song with two influences. It's completely different genres, one right after the other in their playlist. And it shows you there's got to be something that they like. There's got to be some commonality between top 40 country and, you know, the latest track from Eminem where he's dissing somebody and they love it. And, you know, he's killing them and telling them how crappy they are. But there's something about those two things that have to have a commonality. What is it? And I think if you can figure that out, that would be gold. But learning from those genres are cool.
Yeah, it's funny to mention that comparison, because I have a similar kind of comparison in the guitar book. What would I call it? It's not a book really. It's like a
study
draft.
Guide?
Yeah. But,
oh yeah.
But anyways, it's I made a very similar kind of comparison about rap music and improvisation with your instrument. Like I had this idea when I was younger that I want to be able to just improvise whatever and play everything that I hear in my head. But even then, you're kind of required to learn things and have them in your muscle memory to be able to play those things. And that's the thing that I didn't understand. I just felt like I'm to be in the zone completely all the time, and like in moment's notice, just be able to change courses with no changes and whatever. But later I realized it's kind of like in rap music, you're building your vocabulary. So similarly with guitar, you learn these phrases and learn these riffs and whatever, and those are like your vocabulary that you use as you are improvising. You're like rapping with your guitar. I think that made sense at least at that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely. So you have to have that base, or you have to have that foundation, and then you can riff off of that.
Yeah.
So and guitar, since I play a little bit of guitar, that really makes sense, but I've never related it back to the vocals of a rap song or a rap battle where you'd hear that kind of on the fly, and you can tell that it's new, but they're building on something that they have in their repertoire. So that definitely makes sense to me.
Yeah. All right, next song then. This one is by Tomsky. Cool track called Asimov.
First law is as follows. A robot may not harm a human being or through inaction allow a human being to come to harm. Number 2, a robot must obey orders given it by qualified personnel unless those orders violate rule number 1. In other words, a robot can't be ordered to kill a human being. Rule number 3, a robot must protect its own existence unless that violates rules 1 or 2. A robot must cheerfully go into self-destruction if it is in order to follow an order or to save a human life.
by Tomsky. Presumably related to Isaac Asimov's Three Laws of Robotics.
Yeah. Yeah, since he's playing Asimov reading them, I think that would be a safe assumption.
Yeah, I think so. I'm kind of clever
Yeah.
that way. It's just
Yeah.
figuring things out.
I like the way you made that connection like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, like people
Yeah.
were saying in the chat, it's a very complex track. There's a lot of minor details, and it sounds kind of simplistic in many ways because it's very mellow and just moves along in a way. There's not a lot of contrast between different sections of the song, but
Yeah. Especially in the room. Yeah.
yeah, it's built very much like there are there are a lot of details that like, when you start paying attention to those things,
Yes.
you're like, wow, so much work went in this track. It's not like
Yeah.
you just do a dial and you get more of those weird sounds. It's you have to put them in there individually.
Yeah, it sounds. Who was it that said? It's Andy M in the chat room says, sounds simple but deceptively complex, and it is. It's the more you listen to it, the more you realize that in that rhythm and in the sounds that there's a lot more going on than at first you would think. So
Yeah, great one there.
pretty creative.
Definitely, yeah. And we have had quite a bit of electronic music in FAWMtalk, but nothing like that. It's very different. There's so many different styles to electronic music. It's kind of it's crazy that you can just lump it all together under electronic music or electronica on FAWM, and you hit that and you start getting just everything, all different styles.
Yeah, but that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't know how to classify a lot of it. I just know if I like it when I hear it, and that's I'm kind of a novice.
Yeah, but it's like one of those the uselessness of genres. Like how do you even?
Like in this case, I guess if I knew more, or if they were, like if just listening through FAWM, if the genres were well defined, then it might give me an appreciation for what different people are going for, or what differentiates something that's a little bit more laid back, or a little bit more, with maybe more pop oriented, and what the differences are, what somebody's going for, how they would classify it. But I think one of the problems with genre is, like, I have no idea what to call my own music, much less somebody else's. So, it's great. I want to label it. I want to let people know, other people that like similar songs, to say you might like this. There's an advantage, but I don't know what to call it.
The problem is also that I like mixing a lot of genres. Like one year on 1590, I started to make a jazz track, but then I felt like okay, let's do some sort of weird orchestral thing at the end of this, and it just went off the rails really, really quickly. So this is like a jazz track. I mean, I guess, and also the problem is I don't really know how to do jazz, so the jazz people can't enjoy it. The orchestral people can enjoy it. Nobody can enjoy it. It's just a weird little thing that I made that I think it's funny.
If you like it, that's all that matters, right?
No. No.
No.
Well, it matters, but it's not. I wouldn't say that it's the only thing that matters.
Well, I gotta try new things.
Yeah, that's important.
Did you learn anything from that? Do you have an idea of how you could be more successful doing that?
No.
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 Just an experiment.
Yeah, I know how I could be less successful.
Right.
That's something.
Awesome.
All right. We also got a FAWMtalk episode scheduled for tomorrow. And hopefully,
Tomorrow?
We had to cancel the special guest we had for Saturday. Or rather, he had to cancel it.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we can get him back on in a future episode. We'd
Sure.
really like to have him. But of course, it's always like a scheduling thing. It's this is not easy. We should know. But yeah, tomorrow we'll hopefully have a very special guest. Not the Saturday one, but somebody else. And actually, we're gonna have next Saturday. We're also gonna have a special guest, and probably next Monday. So it's gonna be an interesting week.
Cool. And yeah, that's going to be fun talking to 3 new guests that we haven't talked to before, and I think we have a couple more have said they're interested, so there may be a few more coming up after that. So yeah.
Fellow human beings.
As of yet, unnamed special guests from the future.
Yeah. Well, I'm in the future. I mean, it's Tuesday here, so
Sweet.
Yeah, it's. I gotta tell you, the future is looking pretty sweet.
Awesome.
So, let's go to our last track, so I can get some sleep.
All right.
This one is by Sailing Magpie, and the song is called Agatha. It's all right. I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Have a good one.
If I go, will you wait for me? If I ask you to, though it's strange, one day soon this will seem like home. Oh, 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 Agatha. Won't you sit right down next to me? Won't you sit right down with me? Lay your head on my shoulder and just close your eyes. The hour's late, so don't fight sleep. And let's call it a night. Oh, 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 Agatha. Won't you sit